Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the concept of Handshake Protocol Messages and Action. That is simply called as Handshake Protocol Action Messages. Handshake Protocol Action Messages. So Handshake Protocol. So TLS is a very important role in the transport layer security, upper layer of the TCP layer. So which is a very security service which is offered above the transport layer. So TLS stands for what? Transport layer security, which is having the different types of record protocols. In that, the first one is what? Change cipher, spec protocol, then next alert protocol, and then next handshake protocol. So all the client and server interactions are going to be used with the help of this handshake protocol. So the most complex part of TLS is the handshake protocol. Handshake protocol. This protocols allows the server and the client, to authenticate each other and to negotiate an encryption and MAC algorithm and cryptographic keys to be used to protect data sent in the TLS record. The handshake protocol is used before any application data transmitted. The handshake protocol is used before any application data is transmitted. So, the handshake protocol allows both the client and server authenticate to each other. Then they are having, with the help of encryption and MAC algorithms, with the help of cryptographic keys. These three concepts are used to protect the data sent in the TLS record. The handshake protocol consists of series of messages exchanged by the client and the server. So how the client and the server are going to be exchanging the messages? So that is the series of exchanging messages. Each message has three fields. Each and every message has three fields. The first one is what? Type of field. It indicates one of 10 messages. And list the defined message types. So each and every type, it defines that message types. So what type of message it is. And the second one is what? Length. The length of the message in bytes. And third one is what? Content. So the parameters associated with this message. So what is the message type is one, and what is the message length is one, and what is the message actually contains. So here the message types. What are the different types of message types are available in the handshake protocol? So here the handshake protocol message types. The message type is what? Hello request that initiates for the connection between client and the server. So parameters are null, nothing. The second one is what? Client hello. So client is going to be interacting with the server. So it started to conversation. So the parameters are what? Version, random, session ID, cipher suit, compression method. So these are all the parameters for client hello. Client hello is the message type. And similarly server hello message type. For the server hello message type, the version, random, session ID, cipher suit, compression method. So the server is going to be give the response for the client request. So server hello is the response message to the client hello message. And the next certificate. So in between them, to communicate contract to communicate contracting them which having the certificates, which is having the chain of certificate. And server key exchange, server key exchange. So the parameters contains parameters signature, parameters and signature. So which is generated key and which is digitally signed or not, which is used for server exchange. And similarly certificate request, certificate request. So it indicates that type of parameter, authorities also, and server done. So once a client establishes the connection with the server, automatically server is responsible with the connection is established. So it indicates that parameters also null. And certificate verify. Once the certificate client and the server interactions with the help of digitally signed, then the signature is verified. Next, client key exchange. Client key exchange. So the server wants to communicate with the client, so it is going to be asking for the key that is going to be exchanged. So client key exchange, which is having parameters signature. And finished. So the finishing of the connection establishment and the finishing of the conversation between both client and server is having the parameter hash value. So these are all the message types of handshake protocol and parameters. And here we can see the handshake protocol action messages. We can see the handshake protocol action messages. So there are 4 phases are there. The first phase is what? Establish security capabilities, including protocol version, session ID, cipher suit, compression method, and initial random numbers. So this is the first phase, which contains establishment of security capabilities. So the security capabilities are nothing but what? The protocol version, session ID, cipher suit, compression method, and random numbers and initial random numbers. So this is the first phase. The first phase is what? Establishing security capabilities. And the second phase is what? Server may send certificate, key exchange and request certificate. So server signals end of hello message phase. So that means the second phase is what? Certificate sending phase. Second phase is what? Certificate sending phase, certificate exchange phase. And third phase is what? Client certificate exchange for the client. So client send certificate if requested. If it is requested, client sends certificate, and the client sends key exchange, and the client may send certificate verification also. So client send certificate if requested, client send key exchange also, and the client send certificate verification also. And fourth phase is what? Change cipher suit and finishing the handshake protocol. So here the phases are, once the first phase is what? Establishing security capabilities. So see here, the client is going to contacting with the server. If server is available, then server will give the response with the help of message type. So here the client hello and server hello are the two message types. So initially client is able to communicating the server, and server, if server is available, server is going to be communicating with the client with the responsive messages. Client hello and server hello. The next phase 2, server may send certificate. Server is going to be send certificate to the client, and the server is going to be send the key exchange mechanism also, and the server is sending the certificate request also. Then next server sends hello done. So that means server is requesting for certificate and key exchange and certificate request. Server is requesting for what? Certificate, key exchange and certificate request. After that, based on that, the phase 3, client receives this all the requests. The next server, client gives the response to the server. So which is what? Which is certificate and a client key exchange and a client certificate verify. These three are done from the client side. These three are done from the client side. The next fourth phase is what? Change cipher suit and finishing the mechanism. So change the cipher suit. So which is specified for the encryption purpose, message authentication purpose. So changing the mechanism, change cipher specific. The next finished. The next finished. So from the client side. Similarly, from the server side, change cipher specific and finished the action. Finished the action. So these are the message types that are going to be communicating between both client and server. Both communicating between client and server. So these are the four phases. One is what? Establishing security capabilities. Second one is what? Sending certificate from the server side. Third one is what? Client send certificates and verification. And the fourth one is what? Changing cipher suit. Changing cipher suit and finishing the handshake protocol. So that is about handshake protocol actions with the specified based on the time, based on the times. And also these are all, we can say that handshake protocol message types. Handshake protocol, handshake protocol message types. So with these message types only, client and server can able to interacting with each other. So here we can see the initial exchange needed to establish a logical connection between client and the server. The exchange can be viewed as having four phases. The first one is what? Establishing security capabilities. And the second one is what? Server authentication and key exchange. And the third one is what? Client authentication and key exchange. And the fourth one is what? Finishing the mechanism. So based on that client and server interactions, the secured connection. When we are going to say that your website or your web is secure, your web is secure. So for that we are going to use the concept called SSL. SSL is the concept which is used for the providing security for the web. So here, what is meant by SSL actually? So SSL is nothing but a secure socket layer. It is an encryption based internet secure protocol. And a website that implements SSL or TLS has HTTPS. So HTTPS is the website implemented security instead of URL HTTP. Instead of HTTP, we can use HTTPS. So here you can observe that this is the user and you having the internet connection, and this is the normal HTTP. When the website is going to be having a secure, then it is going to be shown like a user encrypted connection. So this is the normal connection, internet connection, and this is the encrypted internet connection and a secured HTTPS, which is having secure certificates also, secure socket layer certificates also. So how does SSL or TLS works actually? So in order to provide high degree of privacy, SSL encrypts the data that is transmitted across the web. So that means anyone who tries to intercept this data will only see a garbled mix of characters that is nearly impossible to decrypt. So if anybody want to see the data on the web, he cannot able to see that contents because that content is encrypted content, and I can see only the garbled mix of characters. So SSL initiates an authentication process called handshake between two communicating devices to ensure that both devices are really who they have to claim it. So the authentication process is nothing but handshake process. So client and server are going to be communicated because of the handshake between those two devices. Because of the handshake between those two devices. And that is nothing but authentication. And SSL also digitally signs the data in order to provide data integrity. In order to provide data integrity. So verifying that the data is not tampered, verifying that the data is not tampered with before reaching its intended recipient. Before reaching its intended recipient. So like the way it provides the authentication process and the handshake process between client and server, those are not supposed to see the contents on the web. See the contents on the web. And why SSL and TLS is important? Why SSL or TLS is important? So today data on the web was transmitted in a plain text, so that anyone could read if they are intercepted the message. So if the data was on the web was transmitted into the form of plain text, that anyone could read if they intercepted the message. For example, if a consumer visited a shopping website, placed an order, and entered their credit card number on the website. Entered the credit card number on the website. The credit card number would travel across the internet unconcealed. Across the internet unconcealed way. Unconcealed way. The data which you are entered on the web is going to be internet unconcealed. So SSL was created to correct this problem and protect user privacy. So whatever you are trying to enter on the web is going to be encrypted. So at that moment only your data is going to be having privacy. At that moment only your data is going to be having security. So by encrypting any data that goes between user and web server. So but going any data in between user and server, SSL ensures that anyone who intercepts the data can only see a scrambled mess of characters. That means that characters that plain text is not able to understand, which is having like all the characters, which is having both numbers and special characters like this. So this is going to be seen. The consumer's credit card number is now safe. So this is the encrypted data which the user is going to see. You cannot able to see the credit card number. It is not going to see the credit card number. So for that the SSL and TLS is important. Are SSL and TLS is the same thing or not? Yes, SSL is the direct predecessor of another protocol called TLS. Protocol called as TLS. So that means before comes TLS, the SSL already came. SSL is the direct predecessor of the protocol. So in 1999, the Internet Engineering Task Force proposed an update to the SSL. Since this update was being developed by the IETF and Netscape, was no longer involved. So then the name was changed to TLS. So what is an SSL certificate? So SSL certificates are very important for providing the certification, providing the security. So SSL can only be implemented by websites that have an SSL certificate. Technically it is called as TLS certificate. An SSL certificate is like an ID card. Or a badge or stored and displayed on the web. So it looks like an ID card or badge. We can say anything. Which is having the data stored. So that is websites or application server. So one of the most important pieces of information in SSL certificate is the website's public key. So The public key makes encryption possible. So the public key makes encryption possible. So for that, this SSL certificate is needed. And what are the types of SSL certificates? What are the different types of SSL certificates? So there are several different types of SSL certificates. There are different types of SSL certificates. One certificate can apply to single website or several websites depending upon the type. So you can apply one certificate for one website or different several websites, and that is depending upon the type. So if single domain websites, single domain SSL certificate applies to only one domain. So a domain is the name of the website. So suppose www.cloudflare.com is a single domain. A single domain. So for that single domain, a single domain SSL certificates are available. And wildcard. So second one is wildcard. So like a single domain certificate, a wildcard SSL certificate also applies to only one domain. However, it is also includes that domains, subdomains as well as. It also includes that both. It includes that both what domains as well as subdomains. So, for example, a wildcard certificate could cover www.cloudflare.com or else blog.cloudflare.com and developers.cloudflare.com, while a single domain certificate could only covers the first one. So this is the domains, this is the wildcard domains. We can call it as the first one is what domain, this is the second one is what subdomain. So which is applied for both the domains. You can mention that both domains. So that is the wildcard domain. And multi-domain. So multi-domain, it indicates that multi-domain SSL certificates can apply to multiple unrelated domains. So suppose if I take one website www.abc.com, if I applied a SSL certificate for this, but I am trying to find that what www.xyz.com, by clicking on this, at that moment this SSL certificate is applied for this under this one. So this is called as what? Multi-domain certificate. So like the way we can have different types of SSL certificates. So secure socket layer is the encryption method which is used to make your data on the web is to be safe and secure. So that is what we done this SSL certificate. So once again I will revise the topics which we discussed in this session. So here the first one is what? Handshake protocol. So what is meant by handshake protocol, which is a most complex part of TLS in the handshake protocol. So handshake protocol helps to make the communication between both the client and the server. So client and the servers are going to be connected with the help of this handshake protocol. Why this handshake protocol is important means the handshake protocol only supplies the messages. That are understandable to both the client and the server. So the client and the server are going to be communicated or interacted with the help of all these handshake messages types. So each message has three fields. One is what? A type field, and the second one is what? Length field, and the third one is what? Content field. So first one is what? Type field. That means message type is there, and then next message length is there, and next message content is there. So these are the three fields which are in the handshake protocol message. So here the handshake protocol message types. What are the message types that are going to be communicated? So hello request is one type, client hello is one type, server hello is one type, certificate is one type, server key exchange is one type, certificate request is one type, server done is one type, certificate verify is one type, client key exchange is one type, and finished is also one type. So these are all the message types that are going to be communication between client and server. Communication between client and server. So here we can see the different phases that are going to be communicating both client and server with the help of message types. With the help of message types. So what are the phases actually? So there are different phases. The first phase is what? Establishing security capabilities. First one is what? Establishing security capabilities. Second one is what? Server sends some certificates. Server sends some certificates that is going to be authenticating for client. And similarly, client also, third phase is what? Client also sends some certificates that are going to be authenticated for server. And the fourth one is what? Changing cipher suit and finishing the handshake protocol. Change the cipher suit and finishing the handshake protocol. So these are the four phases which we discussed for handshake protocol action. Handshake protocol messages action. And the next SSL. So what is meant by SSL? So it is one type of encryption based internet protocol. It is one type of encryption based internet protocol. So here the normal SSL is what? Normal SSL is what displayed like this, and SSL normal websites are displayed like this, and SSL certificates, SSL certified websites are displayed like this. Normal websites are displayed like this. They are not having encryption, or they are not having security. And this is the secure websites, secured websites, which indicates that what? HTTPS, which indicates that what? HTTPS. But normal website is having that HTTP. So this is the difference. This is the way we have to understand the protocol difference and how it works actually. So it works on the basis of handshake protocol mechanism. It works on the basis of handshake mechanism, handshake protocol mechanism, and that is also called as authentication process. Authentication process. And why SSL is important actually? So when we are typing a different data on the web, typing different data on the web is rolled across web. That is nothing but distributed across web. So at that moment, if you are not having any security, if you are not having any privacy on the data, that is unconcealed. That is unconcealed data. That is unconcealed data for all the users. Unconcealed data for all the users. But if I applied SSL on the website, then automatically if you are trying to fill the forms, fill the data, any data, that is going to be mixed with the different scrambled characters. So that the another users cannot able to see the contents what you are typing on the web. So for that, SSL or TLS is important. And SSL or TLS is both the same or not. So SSL is the predecessor of TLS before 1999. After that, the IATF makes it as a commercial one, and SSL made it as a TLS. And what is meant by SSL certificate? So SSL certificate is nothing but it is one type of ID card, or it is one type of badge that having the websites or web applications data. And the most important SSL certificate is what? Public key is the most important piece of information. And the types of SSL certificates. So there are three types of SSL certificates are there. One is single domain certificate, second one is wildcard certificate, and third one is multi-domain certificates. So these are all the certificates for SSL certificates to make our websites and web content is to be safe and secure. To make our websites and web content is to be safe and secure. So that is all about the secure socket layer and handshake protocol messages and actions. Thank you all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.